Now you were paralyzed from the neck down.
I recall being on the gurney, and I'm sitting here saying, what is going on?
You go from that to being a physical trainer. Welcome to another episode of Second Chance Superstars with Kevin Matthews. We are going to be talking about how people overcome obstacles. People that have overcome drug addiction. People that have overcome mental health issues. People that have overcome divorce. People that have overcome going to prison and being incarcerated. And even people that have had major injuries and prove that a setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback. And so we are going to have some amazing guests. If you've been watching, or if this is your first episode, you tuned in at the perfect time. We have a superstar here today. This guy is so inspirational. I knew him in high school. He was behind me a couple of years. He has a twin brother. Dolphus and Dolphin were their name. And I have Dolphin with me here today. And he has such an inspirational story that I believe will help so many of you in the audience. This guy was training for a triathlon and riding a bike downhill, going over 30 miles an hour, and went under a car. He's going to tell you about what happened, but he was paralyzed from the neck down. They said he'd never walk again. Couldn't even move his fingers. I want you to hear his story and be inspired as I was about how he turned that setback into a comeback and where he is today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you to Dolphin Davis. Hello, Dolphin.
Hey, Kevin. How are you doing?
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. Not very many people get a private conversation with you unless they're having to do some squats and some sit-ups and some stuff, just like you're drilling, you're a drill sergeant. But today, I want you to talk about what happened and what drove you to make the comeback to make you be one of the top trainers today. And while we're talking about this, I mean top trainers, not just for muscular build, etc. He's also going to tell us why nutrition is important. And so, without further ado, Dolphin, tell us your story. What actually happened to you, and what did you do to overcome what could have been a major, not only life-altering event, but some people would have even said it ended their lives. Tell us who you are and what happened.
Dolphin Davis, born and raised Chicago, Illinois. Came to Tulsa as a young child and went to high school here, went to college here in the state of Oklahoma. But
where'd you go to high school?
Booker T. Washington High School.
What year did you graduate?
1980.
All right.
And so therefore, I met this guy right here, my sophomore year at Booker T. And he was one of the leaders that I always wanted to be like with that senior class of 78. When I came to Booker T in 78. And there were a few guys that were leaders. And I'm talking about the Kevin Matthews, the Charles Davis, the Larry LeBlancs, those guys, the Micah Bruners, those guys were Clinton Justice. I mean, Clinton Justice was my role model. And so therefore, athletics was, my way of giving back to what I knew I was good at. So then went off to college, then exercised a little bit of the football thing in Norman. Didn't work out, so I got into cycling heavily. Of course, with a name like Dolphin, you gotta know how to swim. So the swim part was not a problem for me. My dad threw me in Lake Michigan at the age of 5, and I was able to swim since then. So, in running, condition-wise, was never a problem. I've always thought that condition was your footprint on who you are in the sport. If you condition yourself, there's nothing that you can't do, whether it's swimming, basketball, football. You condition yourself for that sport, and it doesn't start 2 months before. That's year round. So my twin brother and I, that's one thing about having a twin. We always compete against each other. We made each other our own image. He's my alter ego and I was his. So therefore, when I exercises all those opportunities of football, I decided to get into a sport that I knew that fit me. It was running, swimming, and cycling. And that's one reason why I moved to San Diego, is because of cycling. Riding bikes in Norman was against me because of the wind.
And you were going to OU?
I was at OU.
Okay.
Yes. And so I was riding with a few guys, and when you're in a city that the wind is constant every day, all day, every day, and you get used to it. So during all that time, I said, man, I sure would love to be in a climate where you can ride all day and every day and don't have to worry about the wind. So I had a roommate when I was in college that moved to San Diego, and I went to go visit him in '87. And then so visiting him, 2 months later, I became a resident.
2 months later?
Yeah, I realized that was the climate for me. I realized that was the place that I needed to be to start my new craft, and I also was personal training a little bit at that time as well. So I was a salesman at Coca-Cola. I was also training for a triathlon. And so one morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, leave my house to head to work, as I do every day on my bike. But one thing with Dolphin always have a tendency to be his worst enemy. And I have this trademark of time management. And my kids know that with me, one of my pet peeves is time management. So to say that, I'm heading to work and I'm trying to beat the time that I went to work yesterday.
Now, are you driving a car?
I'm riding my bike.
You're actually riding a bike? What kind of bike was it?
It was a Kabuki. They don't even make those anymore.
Okay.
And this bike didn't have any gears on it. I took the gears off.
Wow.
Because I was riding hills in San Diego, freewheel. And if anybody ride bikes, if you know where freewheel is, freewheel means that you have no gears. So going up a hill, you're freewheeling it. So I took my gears off to get stronger.
Wow.
So, and increased endurance. But I was heading to work, and I'm trying to beat the time yesterday.
Every day?
Every day.
Every single day you want to improve your time?
Every day.
Not weekly?
No, every day.
Not monthly?
Every day.
Wow.
Every day I'm trying to beat that time.
Okay.
So if it's 14 minutes, tomorrow's going to be 13:39 or 13:40. So whatever, I don't care if it's 5 seconds. As soon as I get to work, I punch that time. So this morning, I'm getting ready to do the same thing.
4 a.m.
4 a.m. Not, mind you, I get up at 3 o'clock, 3:15.
Wow.
And I had a backpack on, had my food in my back, so I was ready. And so going down this embankment, I've taken this many times. Many times I've taken this route. And so as in California, those who have been to California have seen the fog or the mist come in, you got little moisture on the road. At this particular time, I was taking this turn, going around a corner, and my front wheel hit the manhole cover. So when my front wheel hit the manhole cover as I'm taking that turn, if anyone has seen any Tour de France or even Tulsa Tough here in town, if you're going around a corner, you better know exactly what the conditions of the road before you make that turn. And I thought I knew the conditions, but I didn't. But one thing led to another. I slid. What I did was I I lost control of my bike. The front wheel slid on the manhole cover. As I was trying to get out of my cage of my pedal, as I was turning, I was trying to gain control, and I lost control of my bike.
So in the middle of the turn, so it's 3, 4 in the morning where there's moisture, sometimes low clouds, and moisture over a manhole cover. And as you slid, you had the presence of mind while sliding to try to take your foot out of the...
Absolutely. And it happened that fast. And Kevin, if I can take anything back, the only thing I probably would have taken back is going a little bit slower. I would have taken that turn. I probably would have hit the manhole cover, but I probably would have made some adjustments if I was going a little slower. But nonetheless, I slid underneath a parked car.
Okay, so now you're trying to get your foot out of the pedal straps?
Yes.
And
yes. And lost control because my front tire slid off the manhole cover. So when it slid off the manhole cover, then it gripped the pavement.
Oh.
So going from slick to dry, and then that's when I lost control.
Did your body scrape the ground?
It happened so fast, Kevin. All I knew is once I got my foot out of the pedal, I looked up, and then it was too late. I was already slid into the car.
You ran into a car or under a car?
No, the car was parked on the road, on the side of the road.
Okay.
Just a neighborhood.
Okay.
The car was parked, and it was a Volkswagen Bug.
Okay.
And
Volkswagens are low to the ground.
Yes. I slid underneath the Volkswagen Bug.
Oh, my goodness.
And my right shoulder was the only thing that kept me from sliding completely under because I slid on this side and my shoulder here hit the bumper.
Head first or feet first?
I went head first.
Oh, wow.
But I was still attached to my bike, and my bike was on the side of the curb. And so at that time, my hands were above my head, up under the car. I was like this. I'm still having some issues with that. But I recall that when I was trying to move my head, I only could move my head and couldn't move. I saw my fingers, but I couldn't move my fingers. And I looked at my legs because I was up under the car, and I'm looking at my legs and my feet weren't moving.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I started to breathe very heavily because I got into a panic mode.
Do you remember all of this?
Oh, yeah, every day. And so as I'm trying to breathe, I'm breathing. And when I'm doing this, I kept saying, help, help. So at that time, when I was saying that, this lady, I guess, this neighbor, the car that I ran underneath, she came to the hospital the day after. But I was here in the fire department. They came.
So she saw you and called the fire department?
Well, I didn't know this till the day later. She told me she didn't want to call the fire department. I heard the fire department come. The siren was going, and I'm still up under the car trying to control my breathing. Because as you know, playing football, when you get the wind knocked out of you, the first thing you do, you panic. So I was trying to control my breathing. And at that particular time, I saw the wheels come up from the fire department, and this black gentleman, never forget his face. He got on his stomach, got on his hands, and I could see his face. He got to the side of the curb, and he said, hey, what are you doing down there, trying to change the oil? That was his sense of humor. And I said, no. He said, you okay? He said, we're going to get you out of here. And next thing you know it, they left the Volkswagen. They had to jack the Volkswagen up to get me from up under the car. And I was conscious the whole time.
Wow.
And so I had my riding gear on. And when I got into the ambulance, they said, man, what's your name? I said, Dolphin. He said, oh my God, he's going into shock. He thinks he's a dolphin. And I said, no, my name is Dolphin. He said, okay, buddy, you're going to be okay, but just be still. I said, I don't think I'm moving much. He said, can you move your hands? I said, no, I can't. Can you move your legs? I said, no, I can't. So at that time, I got to the hospital. They had me on a gurney up against the wall for about, it felt like a couple of hours. And as I'm looking up, of course, they had my head fixed, as you know, and I couldn't move. And all of a sudden, I hear these footsteps in this dark, not dark, but not well-lit hospital aisle. I mean, it was a room
corridor. Down the corridor.
It wasn't even a corridor.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it wasn't even lit very well. And I recall being on the gurney, and I'm sitting here saying, well, what is going on?
They're going to surgery.
No, I knew I wasn't going to surgery because I didn't see bright lights. It was no bright lights. So I heard these footsteps. And then I'm, looking up, and then I see my twin brother.
Oh, my goodness.
And he said, man, what happened? I told him what happened. And he said, yeah. I said, how'd you know? He said, Dolphin, Coca-Cola called. And they found out that you hadn't been in yet. And they said, that's not like him. And they called the house. And they said that something must be wrong because he had never missed a day of work.
You and your brother, your twin brother, were living together?
Yes, we was living together.
Okay. And so your brother came in. Did he look like he was concerned, like something was really wrong?
No, because at that particular time, he was worried the condition that I was in, but at that time, he wasn't aware. The paralysis hadn't came in yet.
Wow.
And so, the next thing you know it, one day, a few days after, he and my other brother, my younger brother, Adar, was in the outside my bedroom. And I'm listening to the conversation they was having with the doctor.
So what actually happened is as one shoulder went under that car and the other one didn't, it sounds like if the bike was at the curb, then the rest of your whole body, I mean, you could have had a broken neck and never, ever walked again, couldn't you?
Right. Well, yes. Or I could have had a brain injury.
Or death.
Because that muffler, those little small mufflers, I fed between those two mufflers on that Volkswagen. I went between those two mufflers.
Wow.
And my head could have easily hit that muffler. I would have been dead on the spot.
Wow.
So, and Kevin, as I said to you once before, it happened so fast, but in slow motion.
Wow.
And if anyone ever been in an injury or had an accident and you visually saw it happen, they know what I'm talking about.
Well, tell me, so then did you say paralysis happened?
Yeah. That's when I heard the doctor tell my brothers that he would never walk again.
Wow. So did that discourage you?
Yeah, I mean, because before I heard that, I'm telling them, hey, I gotta get out of here because I have a triathlon in Mexico. Because in 2 weeks, I was getting ready to go to Mexico for this triathlon.
Right.
My very first one. And I said, hey, it ain't that bad. It's not that bad because I'm going to be okay and I'm getting ready for this triathlon. And the nurse said, I don't think you're going to be doing no triathlons for a while. And then that's when I heard that I wasn't going to be able to walk again.
Wow. So many people would just give up at that point. Many people, you've been a top athlete, you were in tremendous condition, getting ready to compete in a triathlon, which a very small percentage of people in the world could even participate. You were in that elite condition. And now to be told that you would never walk again and didn't have the use of your hands, legs, or anything. What kept you from just being defeated and just going ahead and just wanting to just die?
Well, Kevin, like I said, I exercised all possibilities of what my body was able to do. And I really felt like I tapped into my craft.
Wow. Tapped into your craft. So this situation pushed you into what?
This situation pushed me to be where I am today.
So tell us about how that happened. What goes through your mind to say, hey, I'm going to overcome this and I'm going to do what the doctors even say can't happen?
Well, it goes back a little further than that. When they told me that I wouldn't be able to move again, there was a few times my family used to come in and take, check on me and stuff. And I used to tell Dolphin all the time. I said, man, I'm moving.
Dolphin is your twin?
My twin brother. I told Dolphin, I said, man, I'm moving my big toe. He said, no, you're not moving your big toe. I said, I'm moving my fingers. He said, no, your fingers are not moving. And then the doctors would come in and they'll run a nerve test. They'll stick these pins on you, down your back, down your shoulder, down your legs. I asked you if you can feel anything. I said, no. You feel that? No. I said, but I'm moving my fingers. He said, you're not moving your fingers. So the whole time.
In your mind, you really thought
Kevin,
you were.
I kid you not, to this day, as I'm lying in bed, I can tell you that I know I was moving my fingers. It felt like I was wiggling my fingers. It felt like that I was moving my feet. So the whole time I'm lying in bed, I'm sitting here telling myself, they didn't see it. I know I'm moving my feet. They didn't see it.
Wow.
So the whole night, I'm not going anywhere. I'm on my back. I'm not moving. I can't get up and go to the restroom. So all I did was exercise my mind.
Wow.
That's all I had.
Wow.
All I had, Kevin, was my mind. So to me, I started telling myself, control the mind and the body will follow.
Can you say that one more time?
Control your mind and your body will follow.
Wow, that's so powerful.
And that's exactly what I did.
So with what you know about the body and nutrition today, I've read a little bit about losing nerve endings, et cetera, and that sometimes they have to be retrained
Yes.
and reconnect. So do you think that your belief that was happening started to rebuild nerves, or what do you think happened?
Kevin,
Scientific? Do you know a scientific reason,
Kevin,
or do you think it's
what?
spiritual?
I'm not going to even go there because I'm not a doctor. And I think every person is different. And all I know is what Dolphin can control.
So over time, when you thought your fingers and toes were moving, and your brother said, no, they're not, you kept believing it.
Yeah.
Then over time, what actually happened that something did move?
Finger moved. The same finger that I was exercising. Because see, what happened was my left side was more damaged than my right side was more damaged than the left. I can move right. My right is still limited in certain things. My right side is still numb. My left side, little bit of nothing. I mean, I can take a cold shower. I couldn't tell you it was cold unless it hit my face, But the one thing that I kept doing was moving my finger. And then that's the first thing that came. So once I saw my finger move, I said, it's a wrap. This is it. This is a game changer. Because I knew that I was capable of changing the narrative.
So you feel like the brain is that powerful, and how you think
Absolutely.
has so much to do with
Absolutely.
with your healing.
Yes. Once again, like I said, you control the mind, the body will follow. I kept doing regiments as I was lying on my back in my head, doing those exercises that what it felt like to move your hands, how it felt to move your fingers, how does it feel to move your feet. And then eventually I was able to move my arm. and then my leg, but I went from lying on my back to a wheelchair.
And how long did that take?
I was probably in rehab for about 3 months, 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And then from a wheelchair, I was on hand crutches, but still wasn't able to hold up much weight. But, I had to teach myself how to eat again. I had to teach myself a lot of things that I wasn't capable of doing at the time.
Now, were you naturally left-handed or right-handed before this?
I'm right-handed, but I'm ambidextrous now.
Now you ambidextrous.
Both.
Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous.
Yes. So then how long was it from the date of the accident to the day that you could actually walk?
Kevin, I wish I had to answer that, but I didn't care.
You didn't care. You just knew you were going to do it.
Right.
Wow. So now, that's a powerful story. It's a powerful story of self-belief. I don't know if you're a spiritual guy or not, but it just seems like you had a powerful mind, a will, and a drive to succeed and get back to where you could walk again. And so, how did you go from that? Now you were paralyzed from the neck down. You were able to just move your fingers, and then your hand, your arm, and then your legs, walking on a walker and being able to walk. How did you go from that to being a physical trainer?
Well, once again, high school and college taught me all that.
You already knew these things about fitness.
Yes, I knew what direction I was going in anyway. And I think anyone that knows Dolphin are probably not surprised on the profession that he has right now.
Because you were so disciplined and so into health and fitness before this happened.
Right. And so, and going to physical therapy and watching them and just watching others that was in worse case than me. I mean, I saw people that was in a terrible accident, had no limbs because her limbs burnt off.
Military people?
No, she was in a car accident.
Wow.
She was in a car accident, and her name was Charlotte. And she was in a car accident in a gas truck. She ran up beneath a gas truck and caught fire. And when she came to Sharp Medical Hospital in San Diego, she had no limbs, no arms, no legs, no eyebrows, and she had a bodysuit on that had 2 fans that was blowing on her the whole time. And I said to myself, I am not complaining about nothing when someone else is worse than you.
Wow.
Because I guarantee you, she probably wished she was in my condition.
So you learned about the things we need to be grateful for instead of thinking about the things that are not happening for us.
Absolutely.
So then how long after that did you end up coming back to Tulsa and
Well, when I got back to Tulsa, I decided to get into personal training. I was personal training in San Diego / sales for Coca-Cola. But then again, my passion was always training because I knew that was just a subway to where I need to be.
So when you came to Tulsa, did you still do training on the side, or you just said,
I worked 2 jobs when I first came to Tulsa and worked. Now, I had worked as an instructor at one gym and working for another company and still doing odd jobs. But I knew that once I passed my personal training certification, that all the doors opened up in 91.
So you've been doing it. So you got certified in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 34 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So then, as a person that's gone through this, a person that had such a challenging moment in his life to get here, you get people that come to the gym and they ask you to teach them. They say, oh, I'm overweight, or the doctor says I may have a stroke or a heart attack if I don't change something. What do you tell them when they think I weigh 380 pounds and they say I need to get down to 250. That's impossible. They're saying that. What do you tell them from your experience with that and what you learned as a trainer?
Well, Kevin, first of all, one question I do ask them is that, what are your goals? Your goals, not mine. What are your goals? Because what I expect and what they expect are two different things. And I want to be on their level, and I don't want them to be intimidated. And they never knew anything about what happened to me.
Wow.
Because they're not here for me. I've already been through my journey. Now it's their journey. So the only way they get to know that, if they by chance see me walk or see something that looks totally different, and they can ask a question. But I do not share anything that has to do with Dolphin when it comes to my clientele, because it's about them.
Well, because of what you went through, you know how powerful the mind is and how you can go from here to here. So does it bother you when people make excuses? And they have all of their use of their limbs, they have all the ability to do things, but they make excuses. How does that make you treat them, or how do you feel about that?
I do. I have sympathy. I do. But sometimes I get to a point where, okay, all right, now here we are. The rubber's getting ready to meet the road. Now, all I've asked of you is these certain tasks. And now you don't have any physical limitations, because that's the first thing I ask. Do you have any back problems, shoulder problems, knee problems? If there's physical limitations that I need to be concerned about, because I always do a consult with all my clients and I make an assessment. And so I'm talking about if there are health issues, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes. I need to know all that before we move forward. Because if you don't have any of that, then my approach is going to be totally different with someone who have health issues. And you really have to listen, because sometimes people don't tell you the truth because they fear that they're not going to get what they want from the trainer because of elements, because of different things, rather it's an injury. But one thing I will say to them, that I've trained people to get back from shoulders, knees rehab, hip rehabs. I've done it. I've trained people to get back to normal. And I witnessed all that myself. So I feel that one thing you asked me about nutrition. The thing about nutrition that I believe is that it's all about modification. I like the term nutrition. I don't like the term diet. Diet freaks people out. I believe in nutrition. I believe in the 5 food groups. I believe in moderation. And I do believe in portion control. Because people have a tendency to do the opposite. They have a tendency to eat less in the day and eat more at night. They need to eat more in the day, less at night. And once again, I've told my clients many times, I'm not trying to cut your tongue out of your mouth. I still want you to be able to taste food. But I want you to make the right choices. It's all about choices. And everything is about modification and satisfaction.
So, Dolphin, this has been one of the most amazing, I don't call it an interview, I call it a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I love intellectual stimulation through thoughtful conversations. And that's what this is. And so when we think about the mind and the body, you talked about nutrition and you talked about people setting goals. So what percentage of success you have with your clients have to do with their mindset, and what percentage has to do with nutrition? Does nutrition help with a better mindset, or does the mindset help with making nutrition happen?
Mindset. Mindset helps with the nutrition. You have to, once again, I say this, you got to control the mind. And that goes in a lot of things of our life. You know?
Wow.
Not just activity. I mean, every day, whether it's time management, you have to tell yourself mentally that every morning at 6 o'clock, I'm going to do this. And we can sit down and do things far worse to ourselves. But when it comes to doing something that would benefit our mind, that's okay. That's too much work. You know, but meditation and being able to know, you know, physically and mentally that I can do anything, you know, if I put my mind to it. You know, so you asked me a question about my clients, you know, about the physical and mobility and, you know, the balance and stuff. And you were getting ready to ask a question about that.
I don't know if you remember Ronaldo Works.
Yes.
One of my best friends growing up, and he was on the fire department. And he was becoming a fire marshal and had to do a presentation. And I remember this so vividly. And we needed to do a safety presentation. And he had done research about senior citizens and what is one of the most significant things that take senior citizens out. And it was falls. So they talked about not having extension cords across, moving fall hazards, but also balance. The ability to have balance and be able to continue to move. And so tell us about how important that is as we get older.
It's very important. I'm training clients today on balance and mobility, functional movements. It's not always about
bench pressing 500 pounds?
No, it's not. It's about keeping your hips aligned. It's about flexibility. It's about stretching. Stretching is the new workout.
Wow.
Stretching and flexibility is the new workout. I'm telling you guys, those who don't want to have back problems, start stretching your hamstrings. You know, a little nursery rhyme that we used to have back in the day, your ankle bone connected to your knee bone, the knee bone connected to your hip bone, that's for real. So if you don't want to have lower back problems, stretch your hamstring. Your glutes, your core, your hamstrings, all connected.
Well, how important, people talk about that core all the time. How important is that, the core? Is it 60% of most movements, 80%? Why is the core so important?
You just said the word core. What do you think core means?
The middle?
The center.
Center.
It's the center of everything. You know, so we have to strengthen the core to build everything else around it. Everybody wants big chest, big legs. No. Your balance is, the core is the centerpiece of balance.
Wow.
And hamstrings and lower back.
Well, you know what, Dolphin, this has been a pleasure for me. When we were just casually talking and I said, man, you got to come on my podcast and tell the people about your philosophy. And it sounds like you just reminded us of how powerful the mind is and where we're going to go, not only in fitness, but in life. That's in finance, that's in health, that's in relationships, what we think and how we think and setting goals. Last thing I want to talk about before I have you close us out is how important is it the people you put yourself around, the things you read, the things you listen to, and the people you talk to every day. Does that have anything to do with your mental or physical health?
Yes, it does, because my circle is small. And my circle is small, but those who, my children, my wife, my family, small group of friends, we all feed each other, you know, and that's the nutrition that I live on.
Whoa, that's the nutrition
that I live on.
That's the nutrition you live on. So as we wrap up, if somebody's going through a devastating loss of a loved one, loss of use of part of their body, loss of their freedom, and coming back into society. Another one of our guests has come from one country to another and had to start over. So what would you tell people are the key things that they need to have or do to start over and let a setback be a comeback? What kinds of things would you say to people that feel like, I just can't do it, I was doing well, it's over for me? What would you say to them?
Have one goal.
Wow.
Have one goal, accomplish that goal, and make another goal.
So you're saying just make a goal?
You have to crawl before you walk.
Wow.
You know, and I think so many people put so much on their plate and it get overwhelming. You know, it's once again, just like nutrition, when we eat, our portions should be the size of our hand. So let your goal be the size of your hand. Don't let it be so big.
So set small, reachable goals.
Yes.
One at a time and just...
And then accomplish that, then add another one. But I think we are people, we want it all. It's either all or nothing, you know? And once again, like I said, you got to crawl before you walk.
And so a marathon is just one step at a time.
One step.
Well, I want to thank you. Any of you looking and listening, and you're probably feeling like me, you want to give him an applause. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being the man that you are. I want to thank you for being the leader that you are. I want to thank you for your maturity and wisdom. Thank you so much, Dolphin.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
We've just completed another episode of Second Chance Superstars. And Second Chance is a second chance at fitness, a second chance at life sometimes, a second chance at walking, a second chance at a career, a second chance at coming to another country, a second chance at freedom, a second chance at sobriety. So if you know somebody that needs inspiration, tell them to tune in to these inspirational stories. Thank you again from Kevin Matthews and Second Chance Superstars. Thank you for watching this episode. To see episodes early, subscribe to my Patreon with the link below. You also get bonus content. You get to decide who I talk to or what I talk about. And after every episode, I get on there and talk about what we learned from each episode. So join our Patreon today, and I want you to be part of my Second Chance Redemption Circle, a movement of second chances, power, and purpose.